Alright guys, I am back with my WWE Hell in a Cell 2013 review. And I watched the show last night, but then I had a paper to write, so I couldn't do the review. And I was going to wait and do it this afternoon, but one of my classes was canceled because the teacher's sick. So I figured I got some time, I'll go ahead and record the review now. And in my opinion, the show was very boring. The main event was a clusterfuck, and there was just something off with this show. All night there was just something off. You could just feel it. Crowd seemed pretty dead. You had that Paul Heyman cart fiasco to the timing with Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan, to Triple H trying to climb the cell and slipping, to Curtis Axel not even being there. It's just an off night, but gonna try to find some positives. I mean, you can't really say, oh, it was just bad luck. I mean, you had matches like Fandango and Summer Rae versus Natalya and Khali on the show, a big pay-per-view. I mean, what'd you expect? It just really felt like the same old shit. But starting with the pre-show, you got the panel of experts, which consisted of Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and Caitlyn. Caitlyn, all she had to do was stand there and say a couple lines, and she botched that. Pre-show match was Sandow versus Kofi since Axel was injured. Later on, they did Ambrose versus Big E on the pay-per-view, but the pre-show match was Sandow versus Kofi, which was okay. Sandow wins with the "You're Welcome," which is a full Nelson Slam, so he's got a new move. Then they tell us that Big Show has been barred from the arena, and they have a restraining order on him. Then we get Shield versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Usos for the tag titles. And the announcers tell us that over at the Spanish announce table is Rey Mysterio. What? This is Rey's big return? They didn't even show his entrance. This left me just scratching my head because he would at least pop the crowd. Why not show that? So that was unbelievable. And at some point, I think Michael Cole said this was a no DQ match. Was this a no DQ match? Because they did not use the gimmick. The Shield beats down Goldust for probably 85% of this match. Usos don't even get tagged in until the very end. At one point, Roman Reigns catches Goldust. One of the Usos runs and just knees Goldust in the back. I mean, hard. Full head of steam, and Goldust and Roman Reigns go over. Cody superplexes Rollins off the top to the outside on top of everyone. That was a cool spot. And then Cody hits Crossroads on Rollins for the win. But this was a good match here. Nothing to really complain about with this one. Besides the beatdown of Goldust, the Usos didn't really get tagged in at all. But it was still a good match. And they are back to using the remix of Goldust and Cody Rhodes' theme. So Miz comes out, and he says he's not medically cleared to compete, but that doesn't mean he can't fight. This is exactly what Kurt Angle said on Impact this week. But he calls out the Bray Wyatt family, and Bray Wyatt comes on the Titantron, cuts an awesome promo on The Miz. And when the lights come back on, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are in the ring. And they go to attack The Miz. And then Kane returns. And he throws him out of the ring. And then he chokeslams Miz. So Kane's back. Then it's Fandango and Summer Rae versus Natalya and Khali. Fandango shushes the crowd. And they listen. Very dead crowd. Can't really blame them though. Summer Rae gets a roll-up on Natalya for the win. And that was pretty much it. Definitely felt like just a regular SmackDown match here. But I guess when it's Summer Rae's debut match and you got Khali in there, and it's the best they could do. Can't really ask for any more. It's Big E Langston versus Dean Ambrose for the U.S. title. Ambrose tries to leave the match. He doesn't want any more of Big E Langston. And Big E follows him up the aisle, grabs him, throws him back in the ring. No one popped. No one cared. Big E somehow wins by count out. I wasn't really paying that much attention. And Ambrose retains because of this. So Big E wins the match, but Ambrose is still the U.S. champion. And Big E gets pissed, grabs him, hits the big ending on him. And that was it. Match got a lot of time and had a shitty finish. Nothing special here. Then we get the first cell match of the night. CM Punk versus Ryback and Heyman. I actually wrote here, because of that whole thing with Heyman and the weird cart, already the shits and Ryback's music hasn't even stopped. That's what I wrote down. Because Paul Heyman, if you remember at WrestleMania with Andre the Giant, he came out with Bobby Heenan and he rode this weird blue cart thingy to the ring. Well, Heyman is riding the same thing here, but it's like not moving. And Heyman did a good job just going with it because he's just smiling the entire time. And but whoever was trying to control this thing just could not figure it out to save their life. And eventually they get it down to the cell, and then it rises up as Heyman's cutting a promo. So Heyman gets on top of the cell, and he cuts a promo, says he's the devil. But does this really count? Does this count as him being in the match, being on top of the cell, really? But then we get the match, which was pretty boring. I mean, oh God. I really hope this feud is over. But at one point, Ryback did try to powerbomb CM Punk on the side of the table, which I thought was a cool spot they teased. Punk low blows Ryback, and then Ryback, because he was kicked in the nuts, lays on top of the table. I guess you could say he can't think straight because of the pain, but come on, man, he can still see. He can see CM Punk climbing to the top rope. Why would he just lay on this table? I mean, if he just fell to the ground anywhere, he would have been safer. Who knows? It's wrestling stuff. But Punk elbow drops him through the table, hits the GTS for the win, and then Punk gets a kendo stick. He climbs to the top of the cell, canes Heyman, who is obviously wearing a padded suit, and hits him with the GTS. That was it. So I feel like this is the end of the feud. After all of this build, CM Punk, Heyman, Ryback, Curtis Axel, all of this stuff to get his hands on Heyman, that was it. That was the end. That was the end of this storyline, really? So I thought that was kind of disappointing. And then we get a Daniel Bryan promo about winning the title tonight. It is Dos Leonardos versus the Real Americans. Once again, no bullwhip. So I guess that was a one-time deal. And it's not something Zeb's going to ever have again. Whatever. The Matadores hit the flatliner move for the win. Afterwards, Zeb gets in the ring for some insane reason. You just got to go with it. He gets in the ring and he's just pounding on the mat. This was... Who thought this was a good idea? It just looked so fucking phony. So he's in the ring and the bull gores him. No one popped. It was stupid. I think Cesaro had to sell a Hurricane Rana from the bull, and then Swagger took a moonsault. Just stupid shit. Del Rio versus Cena for the world title. Cena wins with the AA. New world champion. That's it. Match was okay, but very slow in the beginning. They show a cool Survivor Series promo video with the Bray Wyatt family holding alligators. I did like that. AJ Lee versus Brie Bella for the Divas title. Nikki goes after Tamina. Tamina gets on the apron or something, and Nikki goes after her, pulls her down, and then Brie goes for that running knee spot and accidentally knees Nikki in the head. I thought this was hilarious. And then AJ makes Brie tap to the Black Widow. Then we get the Primetime Players dancing with Bob Backlund. This was just awesome. Bob Backlund was amazing here. And finally, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton for the vacant WWE title. Match was okay. Daniel Bryan throws like 12 chairs into the ring. You got a nice EC dub chant for that. Orton superplexes Bryan onto the pile of chairs, kind of. Really, it's like his feet touch the chairs. But Daniel Bryan kicks out, so Triple H comes down and gets in Shawn Michaels' face. Or he's yelling at him through the fence, trying to climb this thing and slipping. And he's like, that should have been 3. So Orton gets pushed into Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels just starts holding his face, even though he never even touched his face. And Triple H tries to get in the cell. Bryan hits the flying knee. But Shawn's out. He can't make the count. So Daniel Bryan comes over and he's like, Shawn, you gotta get up, man. You gotta make this count. Are you okay? Triple H gets into the cell. He throws Daniel Bryan like a sack of shit. He's like, Shawn, are you alright, man? And so Daniel Bryan hits Triple H with the flying knee. And then Shawn Michaels gets up and hits Sweet Chin Music on Daniel Bryan. So the timing was off. It looked really bad. Orton covers Daniel Bryan, gets the win, but Shawn Michaels he had this expression on his face like he didn't want to do it. So why did he do it? It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, let me guess, he's broke and needs money, so he had to do what Triple H says. I don't know what they're thinking here, but Randy Orton is the new WWE Champion. Daniel Bryan was screwed yet again. So awesome job, WWE. This is exactly what people did not want to see happen. Another screw job. You've screwed the guy so many times now, it's really hard to buy into him getting another match and having any other outcome. Because you went the extra mile, put it in the cell, so there could be no interference. Made Shawn Michaels the referee. And now you're going to screw him with Shawn Michaels? It's absurd. What else can you do? Gimmick-wise, what other gimmicks are there? You did the special ref, you did the cell match. So why would anyone believe that if Daniel Bryan gets another title shot and wins, you're going to let him keep the title? It's just bullshit at this point. And now Randy Orton's the champion. John Cena's the world champion. What the fuck is this? This pay-per-view was shit, man. This was so fucking dumb. Booking-wise, it sucked. Wrestling-wise, there was nothing really good on the show. It was just a boring as fuck show. And, yeah, you put on a shitty pay-per-view. Good job. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Only good thing I can come up with for this show is what was there? Maybe that tag match that opened the show with Goldust and Cody Rhodes in them. That's it. Pay-per-view sucked. Probably not as bad as Battleground because at least there was a fucking finish to the main event this time. But yeah, that's not saying much because Battleground was just absolutely terrible. But this was close. This was very close to Battleground. So that's my review of Hell in a Cell 2013. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this pay-per-view in the comments, and thanks for watching. Bye. To Curtis Axel not even being there. It's just an off night, but gonna try to find some positives. I mean, you can't really say, oh, it was just bad luck. I mean, you had matches like Fandango and Summer Rae versus Natalya and Kali on the show as the teacher's sick. So I figured I got some time. I'll go ahead and record the review now. And in my opinion, the show was very boring. The main event was a clusterfuck. And there was just something off with this show. All night, there was just something off. You could just feel it. Crowd seemed pretty dead. You had that Paul Heyman cart fiasco to the timing with Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan to Triple H trying to climb the cell and slipping. A big pay-per-view. I mean, what'd you expect? It just really felt like the same old shit. But starting with the pre-show, you got the panel of experts, which consisted of Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and Caitlyn. Caitlyn, all she had to do was stand there. Alright guys, I'm back with my WWE Hell in a Cell 2013 review. And I watched the show last night, but then I had a paper to write, so I couldn't do the review. And I was going to wait and do it this afternoon, but one of my classes was canceled.